Hey everybody, promised to be here on Monday. It's Monday. Every day goes by, and one day is so much like the other, I can't begin to tell you. Welcome to Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and furry bovine. We got a panel full of experts. We've got Vikings suck.
It's
We've
full
we've
of shit.
uh, we've got Brian and we've got Tony, who probably would agree that the Vikings suck. And before we get into all the football talk, of which there is plenty, I just want to point out that it doesn't mean anything if there's no mercy rule in Major League Baseball. If you get beat 17 to nothing one game, and then the same team you come back and play and beat them 11 nothing, it'll just tell you that both teams suck donkey dick. And so the Detroit Tigers and the Cleveland Indians cancel one another out so that there's no game at all. Okay. So that's yes, Brian, I'm here. Are you? Yes, we're all here. We all scream for ice cream. Now,
except for Tony. We lost him already.
Tony can't understand why everything's freezing, and it's probably because his internet connection is iffy, or he's on questionable Wi-Fi or Quaaludes. And we're going to try to bring Tony in here.
Could be all of that.
Let's see. Tony, are you there? Tony, can you hear me?
Is there anybody
Okay, it works
out
now.
there?
All right, everything's working
hell?
fine.
Nah.
Yeah, we're here, and so are you. I want to get right off on the football talk because you come out of games.
Yeah, this keeps freezing for me. It's not. I'm gonna turn.
Yeah, try it in a different computer, different browser, or something. The Browns. Stephen Carlson is out for the season with a knee injury. Mac Wilson turns out it's only a shoulder sprain, so he is day to day, and a grade 1 sprain as reported. And Ryan Switzer is gone for the year with a foot injury. And you say to yourself, well, I didn't even see Ryan Switzer go down. But believe me, the broadcasting capabilities of
I bet it was on the touchdown catch.
You wonder if he planted. When you hear foot injury, you think the dreaded one.
Now, Liz Frank.
The Liz Frank injury. That is correct.
That's the Greg Oden injury.
Yeah. We're going to try Tony again. Are you there?
No, I've got it on my phone. I don't. When you spend $2,000 on a brand new laptop, you'd expect it to work.
It's a crap top.
I'm getting nothing but fucking issues with streaming on Firefox, Chrome, Microsoft Edge. Like,
what kind of a laptop is it? What brand?
It's a Dell G7.
Dell? Are they still in business? Jesus Christ! I thought that they were bought out by American Tourister.
Commodore 64.
You just
if we would be so lucky. Oh, who was the trash can company? You could do anything to the trash can and it would fucking just pop right back into shape.
I don't know. The thing is, whenever you put your garbage out in the garbage can, the thing that's so ridiculous is they kept giving you the can back. It's like, no, how do you throw out a garbage can? That's what I want to know, because whenever you put something out, it comes back. It's like, no, I want you to take it all. And it's like, no.
You stole that from George Carlin or somebody. That's a old.
It would seem to me. It would seem to me, but I'm not proud. All right. So, but there is, in all of this, if tight end Stephen Carlson is down, what does it mean as far as the Browns carrying 4 tight ends on their roster? And I think these are...
Hello, Mr. Franks.
Oh, God, he was terrible. And Connie Davis.
There he is. Stay Puff Daddy. He's joining us on the program. And
doesn't have a lot to say, but he looks happy.
Yeah, he is. He's always very, very congenial, and his doppelganger,
the white marshmallow of hope.
That is correct. Tony is quit with technology. Yeah, sorry. Believe me, this is something that Others have suffered horrible fates and have never appeared on the show again. I'm not including any names, but some people, it's like, God damn it, doesn't work. Fucking thing doesn't work. It's never gonna work. God damn it. And fuck it. And that's it. And what they become is they become trapped in the chat room clutter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you hear what I'm saying right now?
Oh yes, Stephanie A. Smith.
Stay Puff Daddy.
No, you sound just like Stephanie A. Smith. You're gonna have to do better than that.
That's purely a coincidence. I just want to say that I am so hopeful for the upcoming football season. I can't wait. What I've seen right now in this one game that I've witnessed makes me extremely hopeful and full of joy. I am so excited, everybody, and I just had to share my thoughts with everyone.
All right, well, that's really that.
I would have thought Stay Puft Daddy would have a higher voice, kind of a squeaky happy kind of voice.
Yeah. He actually he sounds like an angry BLM Stay Puft Daddy, but that could just be me. I don't know.
It does sound pretty hostile, really, for
he does.
Smiling that much.
Gotta get a friendlier voice, like let me don't have him say anything and put him on screen and it'd be like, "Hi, it's me, Stay Puft. And you know something? I always stay puffed when I'm around you boys." No,
that's a little bit too.
That sounds like somewhere between a gay guy and Richard Dreyfuss. So let's drop it now before it gets worse.
Or a gay Richard Dreyfuss.
I think you should do like more of a Bullwinkle voice for Stay Puft Daddy.
Yeah, some kind of voice. Well, but this will make a difference. The tight ends, if there's only going to be 3 on the roster now, because then can we add an additional receiver? Or is that how Demetric Felton makes the team, by having 6 receivers in the field, but having this Swiss Army knife guy who can be in the backfield? And is Demetric Felton ever going to prove that he can run with the ball from the line of scrimmage? I did look up some more information about some of the people who contributed, and I'll get to that in just a minute, because they're, the Ryan Switzer thing. Ryan Switzer was going to be nothing but a practice team player, if that. And thanks a lot for your information, Bronk. It's funny that you sent me that, and I was already preparing to talk about the odd cut system.
It's different this year. I think it's like every time they tweak it, they tend to tweak it for the better. And I'll make another bold prediction that this is the last year we're going to see 3 preseason games. I think it's going to go down to 2 or 1.
I think there's a great likelihood that's the chance. And, again, 5 people are going to be cut tomorrow. All right.
It's already happened. It's already happened. It's already on clevelandbrown.com.
So
already it's happened?
So Bronk, you don't want the team to round into shape until week 5 or 6?
Everybody would be in the same boat, Brian. We've had this argument before. Anyway, getting back to my point, they already waived Cordell Iwaglu, Montrell Beander, and Keandre Thomas, and then they put Carlson and Switzer on injured reserve. So that's the 85. And that's
all right. And so Beander was a linebacker and a lineman, kind of a combination guy who was no chance to make the team.
I think it's very convenient that Switzer and Carlson are on IR, because then at some point they could be dumped on the practice squad whenever, it's legal to do so.
And by the way,
that's actually already happened.
High Rocks. I'm. There are not going to be no surprises in the first 10, but it's the next 37. Is that right? Or is it 27?
Well, it's going to get down to 53 by the end of August.
But they had 90 to start with.
Correct.
They're going to go from 80, 27 fewer to 53. 27 guys are going to get cut. Now,
the practice squad's going to be bigger too. So there's more jobs. And if you look at that article, I mean, they're going to get $9,200 a week to be on the practice squad, which is good money for being on a scout team for a couple hours a day for 4 days a week. So I'd do it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the way I look at it is every guy who goes down, that's another opportunity to have a practice squad slot open up for you.
Correct.
And that's what you're seeing in many cases, guys fighting for. If not a spot on an NFL roster, the next best thing. And you know that, wide receivers get hurt. They
Well,
come
yeah,
and they go.
You spend the whole season on the practice squad, you get 150 grand. That's all right.
Yeah. I mean, it's a living. And Pat, I think we all feel the same way. You're going to see some guys get cut who are going to be picked up by other teams because they're better than what they have.
Oh,
Absolutely.
God. I mean, Jacksonville was those announcers, you got to pray for them because they were trying to look through rose-colored glasses the whole game. And it was obvious that their team is absolute dog meat.
And how you could talk about Tim Tebow with a straight face,
they're horrible. And we were playing against a lot of their number ones, and there were guys that we God hope never hit the field for us in a real game, like Robert Jackson and Moffitt and McKnight and a few of these other clowns on the offensive line that were absolutely couldn't run block to save their lives. So.
But, the thing that's interesting, I was talking about Demetric Felton and the fact that he was looked at as a triple threat in college.
He's a threat of nothing, really. I'm not giving him
a wait a minute. We're getting Madonna Piranha. God, make that stop, for God's sakes. That's really, children are not going to sleep tonight.
It's disturbing.
It is a disturbing image. But Felton returned kickoffs and punts when he was in college, as well as receiving and running the ball from scrimmage. Here, he's been nothing but a receiver. And what we saw being tried out at the return position, JoJo Natson was getting, I think, one kickoff and one punt. And I'm trying to think who took the other one back there.
It wasn't memorable enough for me to remember either. So
no. So, again, how do you make a team by being versatile? And we'll see with Demetric Felton how versatile he can become, because it's going to be very hard for him. Even if he were to make the squad, he's not going to get any real playing time, and he might be better off on the practice squad. But then again, look at the guy, Davis, who made that great touchdown catch.
Yeah. We got wide receivers out the Yay, man. We could cut a few that we got and still have, like, Bradley. I mean, Bradley looked good.
Well, Bradley's been a regular as far as the practice squad. That has been the last couple of years.
You know who should be worried?
Like Derek Willis was.
Yeah, Willis should be worried because he's been hurt.
Willie's retired.
Has he actually gone?
Yeah. He retired before the game, before they flew out for the game.
All right, because he was on like some weird list. So
yeah, and San Juan Creole couldn't agree with you more. That ball was right into his chest. He has to hang on to that ball.
Yeah,
that doesn't help in the depth chart situation for him when Donovan Peoples-Jones looks like the second coming, and and Rashard Higgins is catching everything in sight. You can't afford to have a case of the drops.
That's in trouble.
Yeah, so there's always going to be room, and I think Davis. I was reading about him. He was a prolific player at a small Sam Houston State, and he had a prolific junior year in which his receptions totaled over 1,000 yards. He had like 78 receptions. And I mean, it dropped in his senior year because he missed a few games with a leg injury at the end of the season. But I was reading about it, and it's like, well, what was the story? This guy was supposed to go 5th round, 6th round of the draft in 2019, and instead he became a UDFA. He ended up with the Vikings, and he never really got into a game, and they kept bringing him back to the practice squad. And I was looking, why didn't he get drafted? And the reason was a 4.640 on his workout day, which just, because he's small to begin with.
Yeah.
And the people, the scouts said that he wasn't a good enough pattern runner, and he really didn't have enough strength, weight on him. Well, he's bulked up to 205 pounds. And I'll tell you, I saw him make a catch in college that was like an OBJ catch, a one-handed, jumped over the receiver with one hand and garnered the ball in. And it was like watching the game on Saturday where he just outjumped the guy, and he's only 5'11". He's got some verticality. You want to keep a close eye on somebody like this because they fly under the radar sometimes. They don't get a chance to play. And, I'm just think he might end up on a practice squad. It's possible.
I think he may even make the team. It depends on what happens. But I would say obviously the DPJ and Hollywood Higgins are ahead of him, obviously. But he's right behind them.
Yeah, Rick May, he looks like Autopilot, doesn't he? Autopilot from Airplane. He does.
Somebody said that.
Rox, you can do something to see if he really looks like
Shirley. Don't call him Shirley.
There's a little valve.
Oh, dear.
Okay. Just having fun, folks. Just having fun. Yeah. So again, he could definitely make the practice squad. I don't think there's enough room, but he's got 2 more preseason games to shine, is what it amounts to. But more importantly, if you're invited to play with a good team in the preseason, you have a chance to land on a lousy team, but make a roster and make a lot more money.
And start,
or get some playing time. Absolutely. When you're the guy who's the yo-yo going up and down from the practice squad, it can seem like an endless thing. And there's opportunity, even getting cut from a good team, being the lousy team for all the years that we had been, we were always scouring the waiver wire and the
Somebody actually made a brilliant comment during one of the chats Saturday night saying that it looked like that the Jaguars were the old Browns. And that was so true because we used to play preseason games with new ones trying to figure out, how they're going to fit in. And then we kind of look halfway decent in preseason games. And then when the regular season came, we lost all 16. So, but yeah, that's what the Jags looked like. They were trying out ones that were getting beat by R2s and 3s. It was
they started, and I wanted to look into that because again, their announcers were somewhere in Jimi Hendrix Purple Haze. I have no idea what they were watching and what they were commenting
on. They did the best they could with the brief they were given. They were trying to be cheerleaders for the Jags, and it's not a new era for them. It's like an even worse era.
And the one guy was from ESPN, Bucky Brooks.
Yeah.
So,
as far as I could see, and I did find out at the 8-minute mark of the second quarter, that's when they started really subbing out. So they were playing 1s and 2s up till the middle of the second quarter.
Yeah.
And they were getting really sliced and diced by our second, third, and fourth string is what
the only thing we couldn't do was run block. There were no holes, and then John Kelly's going to get cut. Because he can't find a hole even if there was one there. So
I watching the game as it went longer into the game, the more we got into, I hate to call them scrubs, these men are fighting for a job, for God's sakes. But when they got into the third, fourth string, That's where we really started running it up on them. And Kyle Lauletta looked like Johnny Unitas, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we had a 20-play drive, 20 plays. I mean, who does that?
And I don't think there was a penalty on the play on that drive.
No, and there was no turnovers. There wasn't anything that even whiffed like a turnover. There wasn't like no passes getting tipped in the air that somebody could have almost had a chance on, or there were no balls on the ground that somebody could have recovered. There wasn't even a chance. I don't think.
The one pass down on the goal line got tipped up in the air at the line of scrimmage, but that was the closest one.
Yeah. I mean, there was nothing in that regard.
No, the NFL Network, Pat, it's always the home team. We get there,
that was.
Yeah, so that was whatever the CBS affiliate is in Jacksonville.
Or not necessarily a CBS affiliate, just a local Jacksonville network affiliate. It could be shown on Fox or ABC or NBC. It's contractualized, just like the Browns were on KYC, which is NBC, right?
Oh, they're on Channel 5,
on WEWS. They've been on ABC. But it doesn't necessarily follow the same pattern, but they were local, they were hired by the Jags.
What you guys need to do on these games is particularly the preseason, is have the audio from the Browns website of Jim Donovan and Doug Deacon on at the same time as the game. Because I'm coming in from England. They're practically in sync anyway. I don't know whether they would be in sync for you guys. It's something you'd have to try, but you can obviously pause one slightly when you're really in sync.
The radio is usually 4 to 5 seconds behind whatever's happening.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on where you are.
Unless there's buffering.
Yeah, I mean, you could pause the one broadcast and start it again, 5 seconds later and get it in sync.
Now, does it feel like the Browns have a winning swag? I think what it feels like is that every player, no matter whether they were second string, third string, or fourth string, were worked with, did not make stupid mistakes. They did not go off and fly off the handle. And
they cared about what they were doing. They actually cared.
And not only that, but they're trying to make a team, but they weren't doing it at some poor, helpless guy's expense with late hits and the kinds of things that you'll see from desperate people looking for jobs. They played with a cool, calm demeanor. And I think what you're seeing is not so much a silent chip on their shoulder, it's like an efficiency.
And professionalism.
And they're acting like Kevin Stefanski. The thing that's interesting is, sometimes when you have Buddy Ryan, when he was still alive, he's really lousy as a dead coach. But when he was alive,
he's not good when he's alive.
Yeah, people who have, head coaches who are vitriolic, the players can tend to be the same way. And it can work for some organizations depending on what personnel you have.
Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, but if you're like the Browns, you've been disorganized for decades. You finally have an organized guy who's going to shuffle the deck and is going to be very precise about the way things get done. And the players pretty soon take on that persona. And that's what happened last year. People say, oh, God, if we could only beat the Chiefs. It's like one thing at a time. You're establishing a culture here, which is something we complained about for decades. And this year is the year to prove that it's just not a one-off. And the team went out on that field and they played like they all had a job in the NFL, like they had a job to do. They were all lunch bucket guys. Nobody was seeking attention, fame, and fortune. They were all flying around the field. And this still isn't full speed, anywhere near full speed NFL. But you could see that when it gets up to full speed, what trouble the Jags are going to be in.
Oh, God.
And when a guy like Koromoa was playing at full speed, how everyone looked to be standing still except him. The reason he's getting all of these accolades is because he was flying around, man, and everybody else was maybe 3/4 speed, and he just looked like he was shot out of a cannon on a lot of those plays. He just missed blocking a punt.
Can we pour some cold water on all this JOK hype, really? Because he needs to be tested in a real situation, like in the first quarter.
Stefanski said something that I found was interesting, Bronk, and he was throwing a little bit of a wet blanket on this. Is that he did make some plays that really showed up well, but he needs his eyesight, and he needs to be able to not think about what he's supposed to do. And this is what we're talking about in coverage. You know, when he's slashing toward the line of scrimmage to get into the backfield, he knows the play is happening and he's got to get back there. But in coverage, it's a different animal. And on the one touchdown pass, he broke the wrong way. He did not do everything right. And I think his coverage skills are behind his behind the line of scrimmage, big play for loss, hit in the backfield kind of plays. He just missed blocking a punt. In fact, I was trying to, I couldn't see it was him because the angle they showed didn't have a jersey number. Angle. But my God, I couldn't believe he missed it. He was in so quick. But no, he's not the appointed one. This is not Ronnie Lott. No. You know, this is
and he is more like a safety than a linebacker. He's sort of like a better version of Jabril Peppers. I mean, he's sort of like what we always hoped Peppers was going to turn out to be.
He's a physical safety, a very physical, big physical safety who can get behind the line of scrimmage and he can bring people down.
He has a lot more foot speed than Peppers does.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. He's a much better version of him. But I would like pour cold water on the fact that he's God, and take it down a few notches.
Yeah, well, I don't think, it's early, and I think everyone was thrilled because he hadn't had much practice, and he hit the field, and he was playing hard. But it's going to take more than that if you want to be on a lot of snaps during an NFL season. There's more to it than playing against second and third string quarterbacks,
Yeah, and this week they're going to be playing, or they're going to be practicing against the Giants ahead of their preseason game. So going against Barkley is going to be an interesting thing.
Yeah, and I'm more interested in how, because after watching Sendejo destroy the safety position last year, you have a young guy who's, not yet up to speed with the way things are done in the NFL, and he's only got 2 more weeks before the regular season. Well, actually 4 weeks if you look at it for real, but I mean, in between games, he's got 2 more actual games to be able to get snaps in, and they got to put him in coverage situations. They can't just put him in limited situations where he's going to look good. So expect mistakes. They're going to happen. And
I'm not sure where he was really playing. I mean, maybe will linebacker. I don't know where he was like really lined up as.
Most of the time it looked
a linebacker.
Yeah,
like most of the time as the Mike linebacker, the middle linebacker.
That's where they were lining him up, and but I think that they know that from a coverage perspective, he's raw, very green, and it's going to take time. So you can't, But there is more than that. I mean, the fact that Mac Wilson came out after a few plays, I mean, what that does to you is that's what forced Koromoa in the game. Yeah. I mean, the fact that Mac Wilson, they were going to give him a lot more reps because Mac Wilson has started to come on and look better in camp, and they wanted to see it on film.
That's worried that they wanted to give him a lot of reps. That means that he's not cemented on the team. I think that giving them a lot of reps, that's not a good sign.
Well, getting a lot of reps can be a good sign for one type of player and a bad sign for a guy who's been around.
That. But
and like a good example, I was looking at the snap counts because I was curious about who really got, the big time playing
I think
time.
James Hudson, the third or the fourth or the fifth or whatever he is, got the most snaps. That's
Yeah,
just
he
my
got
own
a
view.
ton, and we'll get to him in a minute because Newsom was in for 18 snaps, and Greedy Williams. They both were in at the same time. Greedy's name never came up except for a rundown, a chase down tackle. That was it. Um, and Koromoa was second on the defense with 47 snaps and 15 special team snaps. So Koromoa was on the field a lot. Hudson the third, who I was really a little harsh on in the post game show, it was interesting. He started the game at left tackle, and for the entirety of the first half, he was the left tackle.
Yep.
He switched to right tackle in the third quarter
Wow.
before getting relief in the fourth quarter. He finished with 47 snaps, the second most of any offensive player. And the interesting thing there is that they're looking at depth for their offensive line.
He's definitely going to make the team because they can see an upside to him. Now, Drew Forbes, he's been around for how many years? This is his third season. If he's got no upside, he's going to be gone in another couple weeks, man.
Yeah, he's going to be a cut. And, but the thing is...
you know what? The whole time Forbes was in, he spent the time looking down at some tackled running back that only gone for 2 yards. You can see it, you're looms over the pile. It's like, you all right, dude?
It's always hard to tell who fucked up on the offensive line. Yeah. All it takes is one, and the play gets blown up.
Oh, then the other guard, the Gossett, was no better than Forbes. I mean,
it was rough for them, But again, on the offensive line, I mean, the quarterbacks were getting a lot of protection now, weren't they? And when you start a guy like Hudson and you start him at left tackle, which is, the blind side of Case Keenum, somebody must see something in this young man. And Keenum did not get sacked. No. There was no meaningful pass rush on him. And Laletta also had all kinds of time to pass. It was the run blocking that was really...
Even though we couldn't run the ball, we still had that 20-play drive,
and that's because the quarterback had all time to throw, and it seems like they were able to stop the pass rush, which is great.
Well, and he had a lot of dink and dunks down the field,
exactly.
7 to 9 yard completions.
That's Case Keenum, and that's part of this offense.
Well, that was Kyle Lauletta too.
Yeah,
on that 20 play drive,
and then he hit offense.
When he tried to hit the big one, that DB was running right with Natson and was able to knock the ball away.
Yeah, but nobody's going to say that JoJo Natson is going to beat anybody to the ball. I mean, I don't mean speed wise. I mean strength wise. I mean, he looks like he was part of that, Biafran hunger crisis.
That's harsh.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's lightweight, and if he doesn't have you beat by 5 yards streaking down the field, there ain't no back shoulder throws to JoJo Natson. Let's just put it that way.
He's never going to see the field as a wide receiver and get a pass. He might get an end around or something, but he ain't ever going to get it.
That's what he got injured. That's how he injured his knee.
That's right. And we don't know about
in the very first game of the season.
but I'm not going to be so harsh on James Hudson III, because when you're starting at left tackle and then moving over to the right, what they're really saying is we think this guy has the versatility, and what we're seeing in practice is that he's standing out and doing a good job. And we want to feel good about a Swiss Army knife guy. And, we've had guys like this in the past, and one that's also playing in the Hubbard, right? And that's where competition comes in. Hudson's younger and, and probably hungrier at this point. Togiai was... 38 snaps he was on the field as a defensive tackle.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the defensive side of the ball, the only thing I was disappointed in is that if Clowney or Garrett get injured, we have no edge rushers whatsoever.
Well, and that's
We-
the Tack McKinley thing, and
we have
that's the
none.
disaster of that. And now there's people in the press who are openly suggesting that this is some sort of a personal problem that,
Oh, that's too bad.
yeah, that is
let's not talk
that
about
nobody's
him.
wanting to talk about.
Yeah.
And the thing that makes it odd is that the two practices that Tack McKinley played in, he was slumped over on the field, sick to his stomach in the heat. And we wonder what the cause is of something like that. And when somebody, I highly doubt that he would want to walk away when this was his prove it contract year. I mean, you put these things together, and a guy's like, well, it didn't work out with Atlanta. And he had an absolute faux pas of all time with that horrible post-game press conference that he did that was horrifying. And, he made such a big deal. Oh, I'm getting a new start in Cleveland. This is wonderful. And this is his chance to become, meaningful monetarily in the NFL. And I don't think on his own that he just picks up and walks away. I think somebody convinced him that he needs help. That's what I think. And I think that we should hope that he gets it because it's more important than playing football. But you're right. It leaves us light in the, and that's again where, so if you have Koromoa, you run safety blitzes and those types of packages.
Yeah, but teams will pick up on that and they'll put an extra blocker in, or they'll chip Koromoa somehow. I mean, that's not a solution to not having
you've got to. But for the first time since he's been with the Browns, Joe Woods at least has athletes that he can play with here. That But as far as pass rushing, I mean, Porter Gustin is not going to be a guy who's going to be a big sack guy. It's going to be a challenge. Richard LeCompte III had 37 snaps, and we did see a lot of him. He did get a pick. He should have had a second pick, but he made a good move on a ball. And
well, he's got to be better than Moffitt and a few of those. And Shelby, Redwine, whatever happened to him? Is he hurt still, or?
Yeah, I mean that's been really unreliable too from a physical perspective.
I mean, Redwine and Forbes, they got to be sweating.
Yeah, I mean it's these young guys come up, and LeCompte was drafted, and that makes a difference. One game means nothing, but your eyes are open because we were just so poor in the secondary last year. Felton was a wide receiver on 25 snaps and a variety of roles on special teams, 6 more, that's 31. Andrew Billings played 11 snaps. He opted out of the 2020 season. They're bringing him along slowly. Chris Hubbard was on the field for 16 snaps. And that was the first time he's played since that knee injury that was bad.
He got hurt bad.
By the way, tackle Greg Sennett was the offensive leader in snaps, while Javonte Moffitt, 51, led the defense, 50 snaps for Sennett. That'll tell you that the bottom level, 4th string guys were playing all of these snaps, and we were pulling away from their people. That's not good news if you're a Jags fan.
Oh man, they're horrible.
I think everybody is real high on all of the young guys right now, but when it takes time, just like for an offensive line to kind of gel, it takes time for a defense to gel, and it's going to be a challenge with all these young faces in the secondary. And in the linebacking core being an uncertainty with Takitaki, with Mac Wilson, and then you're moving people in and out of these positions. Are you going to run a 4-2-5? And if you're in a 4-2-5, how does it take shape? And is that where Koromoa comes in? That he's technically a hybrid? I really don't know. Everybody's high on all of it. I mean, Newsom got beat 35 yards, but it took a really good throw and a great catch. to
That
get
guy's a
that done.
borderline all-pro he was going against, though. I mean,
Yeah, a
10-year
10-year
vet.
vet who knows how to use his body and has more size. Um, and so I think that everybody's happy right now. We'll see what it looks like against the Giants, and nobody's going to say that the Giants are going to wind up in the Super Bowl.
It's disappointing that our 3 preseason opponents are so poor. I mean, the Falcons absolutely stunk in Atlanta. They were horrific, and the Giants, struggled with the Jets. I mean, these are not good teams that we're playing. So, I mean, we could quite happily play our second team and still look good against these 2 teams coming up.
Well, and the other part of that is you want to get through the preseason healthy and you want to get organized. You want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Everybody comes into week 1 unsure of what the other team's bringing. And the fact that we don't have to play our guys an extensive amount of time will work in one regard to our advantage. But the one thing that I've learned, the Browns had everything happen last year: the pandemic, the inability to learn a new playbook by actually running the plays on the field, right down to losing their head coach at the most critical game of the season and having a guy who had only called plays once in his career and lost at that, having to call plays. And having players introduced to one another in the locker room before the game began.
Yeah, no wide receivers for an entire game.
Yeah, I mean, we really had to overcome adversity, and it's a different kind of adversity.
But we finished 3rd in the division, so we got to finish 1st this year.
Yeah, I mean, so this year we will have that confidence going in, and that's an important thing. So, how good or bad the competition is in preseason, no matter who you're playing, you're not seeing the real them. Let's just put it that way. If you're playing like the Ravens or whatever, and if Lamar Jackson isn't in the game, you're not really facing the Ravens, all right? You're not facing the Chiefs if Mahomes is not on the field. We get a crash course week 1. And our secondary is going to find out what it's like to try to chase down Tyreek Hill. It's going to be very difficult for a young team that is not quite molded together and gelled to do this. But it'll take time.
And we can't mention the Browns today without mentioning the passing of Dick Shafrath at the age of 84.
Years old. 84. Yeah, boy,
he's 2 months younger than my mom, by the way.
Between he and Gene Hickerson, man, what an offensive line that was for the great Jim fucking Brown, man. Good.
And Leroy Kelly, not to be confused with John Kelly.
Yeah. How long should the starters play in this next game? I think there are question marks as to whether they're going to play at all.
There you go. That's my answer.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see.
Well, I think they're going to play one series, and then that's
possible. That's possible, but
and then they'll probably play the first quarter in Game 3.
Yeah, you just.
I don't
think that there's going to be a whole. I think that they're going to need one game in which and it probably would be Game 3, where they would have to at least have a drive. You know what I mean? Rather than it's like, oh, we're just going to play them for a possession. That just risking danger for nothing. But to at least get a good drive in, if you're hopeful that you can get down the field and have a chance to work in the red zone, that sort of thing. That's all you're going to see.
But it'll probably be like that Game 2 in 2019 where they just knife right down the field and scored a touchdown in 4 or 5 plays.
I'm going off topic here because Tony's asking me if I've seen any of the summer league games. And again, the summer league games to me don't mean a whole hell of a lot. Thoughts on Mobley and Okoro? Okoro looks like he's put on more muscle. But, they want him more on ball to help with assisting. And they've jerked around Okoro because they're trying to figure out just what he can and cannot do. And shooting the ball is not one of his strengths. Mobley is a guy who what I'm seeing in him is he has a nice shooter's touch. And I see him more in a mold of Larry Nance Sr., a guy who's 6'11". They say he's 7 foot, and has the ability to hit the mid-range shot, but is not a big physical presence. And it's one of the reasons why they're bringing Jared Allen as the 5, and they're going to be starting Mobley as a 4, because they're going to be using him, on the elbow. That is, they asked the young man, where are you most comfortable? And he's more comfortable working from the elbow. He's got a nice fade.
I'm more comfortable on the bench, coach.
Yeah, and he's a very soft-spoken guy. He's not a real fiery guy. He's not like a guy who's bench pressing a gazillion pounds kind of guy. He presses like any rookie. If he has to get rid of a shot too quickly, he bricked a few threes that I saw, but he made some very feathery shots. And he blocked a few shots. He's got long arms. I'm not going to tell you that he is, Dikembe Mutombo, but it's hard to say because what you're playing against in the summer league are a bunch of guys who are going to be cast off to Europe or wherever, or the D League, and it's going to be hard for Mobley and any guy coming out of college who's not physically mature in handling bigger men. And all of the guys in the NBA are more muscled and bigger than Mobley is right now. So my feeling about the Cavaliers is they're going to stink again. And I think that they're going to fire J.B. Bickerstaff and they're going to move Sidney Lowe in. And then the next year they'll stink and they'll fire Sidney Lowe and they'll bring somebody else in. I really have very little confidence in the way that organization is being run. There is no real plan that I can see. It's like they're constantly collecting players at draft and getting rid of players at the same time. And it's the net balance of the whole thing is zero. The net sum gain is zero. I'm just not real impressed.
Can we do the Peter Alice play the game? Of
the preseason game?
Yes, exactly. Like getting away from basketball, which very few people care about.
Oh, it's me, Peter Alice, and I'm here in the heavenly studios of the BBC. And I was watching that Jaguars game, and Bronk, I'll tell you something.
Tell me.
Tim Tebow blocking molecules of air. Oh, what was he diving for? You're supposed to come back for the pass, not let somebody step in front of you and catch it. Oh, it might be the polite thing to do when you're in church, but not on a football field.
Yeah, that was an embarrassment.
Yeah, what's embarrassing is when you're doing something that is like, that he played in Florida, this is Florida, we got to drum up some local interest in this team. That's what's really pathetic about it.
It is really pathetic. I mean,
can't play. He just can't play.
And the other thing that got me was Shad Khan coming on, showing off these like stills of their new complex that they're going to build. Yeah, where are they going to build that? In Wembley when they move? That's what I was thinking when they're going to rehabilitate Jacksonville. Yeah, good luck with that shit, guys.
Yeah, and what's amazing about it, this is General Dog, Kevin Lears. Kevin, what's really surprising about the whole thing is that Hue Jackson is somewhere way back in the past. All you need is a competent head coach, and all the Pat Shurmurs and Hue Jacksons and all the people who have ruined our season for decades, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's all forgiven and forgotten. We're good now, and we've got, you know. And I'm not saying that Stefanski's a perfect coach. He's going to make mistakes like anybody does, but he has a real understanding that in order to win in the division that he's in, you've got to run the football, you've got to possess the football, and you've got to not just look at the offensive side. They've come back in the second season of their assemblage and putting together a defensive squad. I mean, this is going to be a balanced team, and I really hope that we get to see some games where the offense just plays so well that they win it by themselves. And the defense, I want to see that the defense can win games for this team as the season progresses, because you're not going to win Super Bowls and playoff games without having a rugged defense. It is not possible, and because you're going to be running into juggernauts.
We got to win the division. We can't finish third. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, in the fact that our second and third stringers are better than their first stringers, you know, I guess that's the way I look at it. That was always the case with us. Our first stringers were worse than the other team's second and third stringers. And it was,
we looked really good in practice stuff.
Yeah, you know, it's just, you know, yeah, he's younger than all of us, Kevin.
God, yeah.
And that's the other thing. You know, when you hire not just a young coach, but a good young coach, you know, that culture gets passed along. And, you know, it's always a great thing. And he's not a head case like Belichick. And, you know, I want to point out, again, I keep saying over and over again, you know, this whole Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time, and he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. We know that. But I so disagree. And now that he has become the de facto general manager of the Patriots, you know, and I'm watching Nick Chubb go up and down the field at will, and I'm watching Sonny Michel just like, and they didn't offer him the fifth-year extension. I mean, we don't hear about that in Cleveland. You see, if that were us and we put our top pick in the first round into Sonny Michel and he has a good rookie year, and then all of a sudden he like vanishes from the planet and you're not even giving him the tender offer. I mean, what does that tell you? They blew it. They fucked up the draft. And you know how many drafts now in recent years Belichick has fucked up? His team kept getting older. And where's the young talent? He is a ruiner of organizations when he extends himself beyond what he is good at. And he knows nothing about player assessment whatsoever. He wants to find players who he can bully. He wants to find players that he can humiliate. That's all he is. And you're going to see the Patriots for what they are. And they're going to turn into the same thing that he coached with other teams before he got to the Patriots, which is sub-mediocrity, just like last year. And, you know, I know he's hoping that Mac Jones is going to become the next Big Mac since mac and cheese. You know, maybe it will happen. Maybe it'll happen. But I'll tell you something. They're not the fearsome team that they once were, and they're missing people in the draft. They're just flat out missing picks. And I'm looking at the Browns now and I'm saying, can you imagine if LeConte turns out to be a usable player? Can you imagine if we start getting hits in the second and third and fourth round picks? If James Hudson ends up being a versatile guy who comes in and helps us out, and that's a fifth round pick. You know, if some of our lower picks, actually come to fruition, it could become, and again, the fact that the Browns took Chubb after the Patriots took Sonny Michel. I mean, they whiffed on Nick Chubb. I mean, how do you do that?
Oh, no. Do you still have your snap count thing up on the screen?
I do have an article about that. Yeah, why?
Yeah, what happened to that UDA guy, that Marvin Williams or Wilson or whatever his name was, the highest paid undrafted free agent guy. Did he play?
I don't know because they didn't even mention him. They didn't even mention him, and that was what was being talked about in the press, is the fact that they paid him all this money as a UDFA, and he's just been buried.
Yeah, where is he?
I don't know. It's it's interesting. Do you like to have a joke without a punchline?
Most shows have them.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, the funniest jokes are the jokes that don't have a punchline, so you can make up your own. And this is one that I'm not going to touch with a 10-foot pole, but I will read you the headline, okay?
Okay. All right.
Tokyo Paralympics institute a no fans mandate. You can go wherever you want to go with that, okay? You can go wherever you want to go with that. But that's the headline, and I share it with you. It's my responsibility.
Only in London did the Paralympics actually draw any fans. So
the International Paralympics Committee was banning a swimmer from bringing her dog.
In the
seeing dog. To the pool area. Actually, to any of the facilities in Tokyo.
Was that part of the dog paddling competition?
Well,
we get you, Brian.
I'm sorry. I mean,
apologize for that move. That was out of order.
It's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You gotta kick harder. If you're gonna get any speed, you gotta kick. I promised I wouldn't.
Oh, so when they have the blind swimming, do they hold on to the dogs in the lane? Like they're like holding on to the dog. Go run, paddle faster, Fido. We're losing.
Actually, I'll be honest with you. Some of the Paralympics performers are just absolutely amazing. I mean,
they're a lot better than any of us. That's for sure.
But I don't even know. I'm sure that they're televised, and But I've never really sat down and watched, like the figure skating, free skates, and stuff like that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You'd really love the downhill skiing.
Yeah, I mean, but now the Special
or
Olympics,
the toboggan runs.
The Special Olympics is something I can watch. That's something I definitely watch. Yeah, I mean, that's exciting stuff. Yeah.
No. Who else do we?
As far as around football, real quick. The Miami Dolphins, Tua had a great game, except for the one pass he threw when he was in the red zone that was an interception that he should never have thrown.
Justin Fields could be the real deal.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is you're talking about who looks like a guy who increased his value and a guy who maybe has a chip on his shoulder. There you have it. And he had a good game. He was like 14
Look
to
at
20.
Rocks run, Rocks, run.
Yeah, I don't know. He's trying to get to the phone because I'm tied up.
It's probably
Yeah, and Fields did look great in the second half. He came out like a fireball, and again, don't forget Deshaun Kaiser looked great in the preseason. I'm not. Yeah, I mean, everybody's gonna get all excited. And it's like, it's just the preseason. Guys aren't, guys who are trying to make teams are being put out on the field. And they don't know what they're doing in many cases. Some cases, they may even be under a first-year coach. So, I don't get overly excited by that.
Trey Lance should be winning the Jay Schrader Award, going 5 for 14, but having a 82-yard bomb.
Yeah, and Zach Wilson was 6 of 9 for a 7-yard average. And it was unbelievable that's who Stephen A. Smith selected as the rookie quarterback who looked the best over Justin Fields. I mean,
Stephen A. Smith's an idiot. I think it's all an act, really.
It's just crazy. I mean, I don't know what the hell that was all about. So, at any rate, it's 7:00. We've done what we wanted to do here, and we're going to be back again on Friday, and we're going to be talking about more in depth of what's happened in the Browns practices
Can we
and
do like
preparing for the Giants.
a prorated BCOD sighting? Because I want to give, if any Giants cheap shot us during this practice period and this game coming up, they definitely should get the wrath of a BCOD, because that's one thing I really don't want to see.
We can only hope, because Judge, he comes off as being a real hard ass, and who knows what he's going to have his team out doing.
BCOD, man.
Yeah, but we'll talk about what's going to happen in that game, and as we get a little closer to it. So everybody, thanks a lot for tuning in to this edition of Moohead Radio, and we're getting closer to football season. We'll be doing another halftime and post-game show. Here's the other thing. The last game against the Falcons, I probably am not going to do a post-game show because that's an 8:00 start, and I don't want to be up.
I might not even watch that game if no one's going to play in it.
Yeah, I mean, but the bottom line is I'll watch the game, but I'm not, and I'll do a halftime show, but
well,
I'm not going to.
All right, let's put it this way. If it was 1 a.m. start time and you knew that only the second and third string guys were going to play, would you watch it?
Yeah. Not going to happen.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I will see you on Friday at 6:00 Eastern Standard Time. Thanks, as always, to Brian and to Bronk and to Stay Puff Daddy. And
thanks for stopping in, Key.
All right, and Key and everybody else and your little dog, too. Until next time, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.
Boom.